never made it, but I know what it takes. I'm motivated by a mix of emotion. Got my statement, and I'm reading it slow so I can understand it fully. Appreciate my standing, go out of this world and right on time. Oh, never in my life have I seen the sky light up like this. I'm far away from Earth and I wanna know if you exist. Mission control, do you read me? Send me my coordinates lately. Mission control, am I drifting? Tie me to someone who will love me, yeah. Wait, I think I'll last a bit longer. Find another.
Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd Family a part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. I hope everybody's looking forward to the weekend. Of course, it's the final weekend of 2022, and I know a lot of people have jobs where they get the day off for New Year's, and of course New Year's is on Sunday, so I know a lot of jobs are celebrating New Year's today, and a lot of jobs are celebrating New Year's on Monday. So if you have one of those jobs where you get New Year's off, hopefully you're looking forward to a nice long 3-day weekend. But if you go anywhere this weekend, please be careful. Don't do anything outrageous. Don't do anything stupid, because I know every year on New Year's Eve, and especially New Year's Day, there are cops everywhere. So please don't do anything stupid. I don't want anybody that I know personally to get in trouble over the New Year's holiday weekend. And 1 week from tonight, next Friday night, January the 6th, I was supposed to be at National Championship Wrestling at the historic Landmark Arena in Cornelia, Georgia. But due to circumstances beyond our control, that show has been canceled. But I will still be at Southern Fried next Saturday night, and I will still be at UWF next Sunday afternoon. But a heads up, if you were going to try to make it to NCW next Friday, that show has been canceled. But earlier in the week, I talked about all the big bowl games coming up this week. Of course, we still have bowl games all day long today. And in that video, I said that coming up later on in the week, I would discuss all the bowl games coming up this weekend. Well, today is the day, and there are no bowl games on New Year's. All the normal New Year's Day bowl games have been moved to Monday, January the 2nd. Now, maybe they're doing it because they know most people are going to be off because their job gives them off for New Year's. But I'm guessing they're doing it because they don't want to compete with the NFL, because the NFL is now coming down to the nitty-gritty. They only have 2 weeks to go in the regular season, and the NFL TV ratings would be higher than any bowl game played on New Year's Day. So I'm guessing that's the reason why they're doing it. But there's bowl games tomorrow, and there's NFL games tomorrow. There was NFL games last Saturday, and there was a bowl game last Saturday night. So I don't really understand why they're going to do it now when they tried last week. But of course, these schedules come out ahead of time as far as, when the bowls are going to be played. So my guess is it's because the NFL is on all day long Sunday. But it may also be because they know that most people are going to be off on Monday. So no bowl games on Sunday, but there are bowl games tomorrow, and there's bowl games on Monday. And of course, one day next week we'll come back on here and talk about all the bowl games that happened this week, because we still have some all day long. Today, starting at noon, with the old ACC Classic matchup with the NC State Wolfpack going against the Maryland Terrapins. But speaking of bowl games, before we get to tomorrow's bowl games, there is a bowl game sponsored by Barstool called the Arizona Bowl. And luckily, it's two teams that probably nobody cares about. So I don't think anybody's going to care that they miss it. But I bring it up because I learned something interesting that I did not know. And you're supposed to learn something every day. So when I learn something, I like to talk about it so that people know I'm still trying to learn stuff. But this bowl game is sponsored by Barstool and it's not on TV because it's on Barstool. So I guess if you have Barstool, it's on TV, but that's the only way it's on TV. But until I found out about this Barstool sponsoring the Arizona Bowl, I did not know that Barstool carried live sporting events. Now, I've never followed Barstool because Barstool is one of those modern day companies that says off the wall stupid stuff just to get you to watch. I don't watch things like that because when you are really giving me your honest opinion, I don't take you serious because you said 75 stupid things. So they're one of those modern day shock value channels, so I don't watch it. But all this time, I thought Barstool was just one of those sites, kind of like Sports Illustrated, kind of like Sporting News Radio used to be, where they just have different people put out articles and different people sit around giving opinions, kind of like a YouTuber where you just sit around and talk sports, whatever sports you want to talk about. So up until now, I didn't know Barstool carried live sports. If you have Barstool, please feel free to let me know how it works because this might be the first ever live sporting event Barstool has ever done. Maybe this is Barstool trying to get off the ground and start carrying live sporting events, and they're trying to see how good it's going to do. But if it is, they picked a terrible bowl game to do it in because nobody's going to watch the Arizona Bowl because it's two teams in two group of five conferences that nobody cares about. But on to tomorrow's bowl games. Coming up tomorrow at noon, we have the Music City Bowl. Now, these two teams in Iowa and Kentucky actually played in a bowl game last year. It was a separate bowl game, but it was the same two teams. So we have the Iowa Hawkeyes and the Kentucky Wildcats coming up at noon. Also coming up tomorrow at noon, we have the Sugar Bowl between Alabama and Kansas State. And most people think Alabama's just going to blow them out of the water. And I think they will too. But I hope that Kansas State hangs with them. They've had a great season. They overachieved big time. And I would love to see them end their season by winning the Sugar Bowl and beating Alabama. And then at 4 o'clock tomorrow is the first of the two playoff games when the TCU Horned Frogs take on the Michigan Wolverines. That will be the Fiesta Bowl. And then after that at 8 o'clock tomorrow night in the Peach Bowl, we have Ohio State and Georgia. And most of the predictors that I've saw have Michigan winning and they have Georgia winning. So everybody that I've read about or seen on TV or heard on the radio, saw in a magazine, whatever you want to say, have Michigan winning and Georgia winning. So I guess outside of TCU fans and outside of Ohio State fans, everybody thinks it's going to be Michigan against Georgia. Of course, they played last year in the first round of the playoffs. It'll be interesting to see how these games go. I honestly feel like, and this is just my opinion, but I honestly feel like this is the first time in at least 5 or 6 years where we have the four best teams and the four most deserving teams. I know a lot of people still don't want to give TCU credit, and that's fine. But even if you don't, you got to look back over the years. They're way better than the Washington team that got in. They're way better than the Michigan State team that got in. They're way better than the Notre Dame team that got in. So I actually think this year we have four deserving teams and the four best teams. So hopefully that'll result in two good first round playoff games. And I've told everybody that I've talked to that TCU is not going to win it, but they're the team that I'm pulling for. Now, as I said, they're not going to win it, so I'm going into it with very low expectations because I don't expect them to win it. But Michigan's won national titles, Ohio State's won national titles, Georgia's won national titles. TCU hasn't. And if my team can't be in it, then I like an underdog story. And to me, they're the underdog story. They have a good year here and there, but this is their first playoff appearance ever. Now, back in, I want to say it was either 14 or 15, was when everybody got up in arms thinking that TCU and Baylor both got left out of the playoffs. So I guess you can have your opinion on whether or not you agree with that. But this is TCU's first ever playoff appearance. And since my team's not in it, I'm pulling for the underdog. So I want the Frogs to win it. But it's not going to happen. I think Michigan wins, and I think Georgia wins. And then coming up on Monday, bowl games start on Monday at noon. We have the ReliaQuest Bowl, which the ReliaQuest Bowl used to be the Outback Bowl. And I liked when it was the Outback Bowl because in the Outback Bowl, you had the SEC against the Big Ten, and I forget exactly which team had to win in which conference, but whatever conference it was, if that team won, you got to go to Outback Steakhouse the next day and get a free bloomin' onion. And I love bloomin' onions. But Outback has backed out of the bowl system. They're no longer sponsoring a bowl game. So what used to be the Outback Bowl is now the ReliaQuest Bowl. And that'll be Monday at noon. And it's still going to be the SEC against the Big Ten. Nothing changes. It's still the SEC and the Big Ten. It's still played in the same stadium in Florida. It's just now called the ReliaQuest Bowl. It is Mississippi State against Illinois. Then at 1 o'clock Monday, we have the Citrus Bowl when the LSU, we can't spell go right, Tigers take on the Purdue Boilermakers. Also at 1 o'clock is the Cotton Bowl when the best of the group of 5 teams, Tulane, takes on the USC Trojans. And then at 5 o'clock Monday afternoon is the bowl game that Keith Jackson and Brent Musburger always said is the granddaddy of them all, and that is the Rose Bowl, when the Nittany Lions of Penn State take on the Utes of Utah. Any thoughts on any of the bowl games? Please feel free to let me know. And in case you did not know, Cheez-It is actually sponsoring 2 bowl games. So Cheez-Its is putting some money into the bowl games. Last night, the Florida State-Oklahoma game was actually called the Cheez-It Bowl. And then coming up, we have a bowl game that's sponsored by Cheez-Its. So Cheez-Its has their own bowl, and then Cheez-Its sponsors a bowl. So that's a company going all in, putting some money into the bowl system. But again, any thoughts on this, please feel free to let me know. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. What did the nut say to the other nut in a game of tag? I'm a cashew. And that wraps it up for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.